What's up YouTube, Xacto here, bringing you another custom action figure video. Today we're looking at the Fugitive Predator from NECA. This is a really cool figure. It has a great scale, great sculpt, but the paint always seemed lacking to me. So here's a quick roundabout. You can see, yeah, it's a pretty solid looking figure. Looks really, really cool. But the armor is pretty light. The helmet has a matte finish to it, but in the movie it's pretty high gloss and definitely has like a carbon metal kind of feel to it. You can see the skin doesn't look that great. It's very yellow, very blotchy, um, and it's very red. And I'm not sure why NECA went with the red color for the darker parts of his skin, but we're going to pretty much change all that. Here's the head, and this just looks pretty bad. This is pretty awful. I don't know what that big black splotch is between his eyebrows, um, but yeah, it could be a lot better. So I'm sure it's hard to get a good paint application nailed for something as complex as a Predator on the mass production side, but we're just gonna try to bring this guy to life. So let's do it. Alright, so we're taking apart the figure, we're heating it up, taking the mask off, seeing what's under there. Luckily, we can see that we can put a light in there, the lens already open on the eyes. Cutting off a little seam right there, taking the armor off. And there he is, fully apart. We can rip the mouth off of that. And here we are, base tone, putting it all over the body. Pretty, almost like a fleshy kind of tint to it. And we're putting a brown wash over everything to bring out the sculpt details. Right now it's still this. Here goes the brown wash. Really brings it alive. It's a great looking chest. It's a shame that it's hidden underneath that armor. You wouldn't know it's there at all. But we're going to paint the chest for fun. Here we're still putting on that brown wash all over the body to bring out that sculpt. Dry brushing some of the darker areas while looking at references of the suit, of the Prime 1 Studio statue, the Hot Toys. Use a lot of different references to get the right angles. So now we're just doing the head here, doing more brown washes all over the areas where it's appropriate. Fading in. Here are those little dots all over his head. So first he has like these brown little dots and then black ones on top of it. And I'm not going super duper accurate. There are a lot of better painters out there than me when it comes to Predators. But just something that looks cool for the final product. Still adding those black little dots all over the head. And this is all with a brush and paint, acrylic paint. So no airbrush or anything like that. Even though I have an airbrush, which would have made this maybe a lot faster, but I just wanted to keep it a little simple. Continuing to add these black dots and brown dots all over, little details. Once again, it's not very accurate, but just to make the figure a little more interesting. Writing the brown here, and this cool pattern that the Predator has on his stomach, which we won't even see once we put the figure back together, but it's cool to know that it's under there. Adding more brown here, doing the hands. Back to the black dots, going all over. And now it's time to add some gloss to this guy. I'm using a Gamvar gloss, which I use for oil paintings and acrylic paintings. And I wanted to see if it would work on a figure. So it goes on really thinly, takes a bit to dry, but it really brings out the color of the Predator here. So I was experimenting with the Gamvar varnish, and I will say that it's not the best to use, so I would not recommend it. The reason being is that some pieces of plastic it dries pretty tacky and sticky on, and that's not ideal. You don't want your figure to be sticky. So my figure is slightly sticky, but that's okay. Learn from my mistakes. Right now we're doing a dark, almost like a gunmetal all over the figure, putting washes of it, taking paper towel, rubbing it out so we can see the lighter silver coming underneath. And what we're going to do after this dries is that we're going to take gloss and put it over the armor so it can be shiny as well. But learning from my mistakes, I'm going to use a Mod Podge, which is puzzle glue, and it goes on looking white but dries very clear. Now we're painting the netting, which can be a pretty grueling process. My brush is not thin enough to get the netting right, so I was having a really hard time. Make sure you have a good brush, good nice thin brush for the tiny details. It'll make the dots on the head much easier, it'll make painting the eyes easier. But I just bought this brush thinking it would work for this project, but it was much too fat. Right now I'm rubbing the Mod Podge all over the figure, making it shiny, all over the metal parts, the netting parts. You can see the chest there, he's looking pretty nice being assembled right now. We're adding some gold accents to the armor where it's appropriate to just bring it to the next level a bit. There it is, coming together. So after painting everything, we're going to figure out how to add the red LED light in his head. And there it is. It looks very, very cool. I'm super happy with the way it came out. You can see the helmet is removable completely. You can add magnets, but very crude job. I'm not good at doing LEDs and stuff like that. But all it is 3 tiny button batteries and a little red LED that you could just insert in there and it could turn red, illuminate. Right there, the eyes have a very thin plastic that I cut out of a packaging from an action figure and just glued it in there. So you see if you put it right back in, it stays in there, and boom, you have a light up Predator. There it is with the lights off. There it is. Here's a quick look at the finished head here. Just a photo, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. I think it looks much better than the original version that we looked at earlier on in the video. And here is the full figure. He looks nice and shiny. His armor has much more depth to it. Looks a bit more realistic. And yeah, this was a really long custom, but definitely worth doing. And I'm glad I was able to record it and share it with you guys. The eyes look really cool. It's pretty bright. Button cell batteries will probably last about, I don't know, maybe about 24 hours to power a tiny LED. But obviously you wouldn't want to keep it on that long. And just to take pictures, you put the LED back in there and it'll light up. Moving the light here to see how it looks in different lighting. Dimming the light to see the eyes a bit more. It's looking pretty cool. Now, of course, NECA's making a second version of the Fugitive Predator where he escapes and he's going to have the light up eyes and removable armor. But it's cool to do it to the original and know that you can make it yourself. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and please try it. I'll see you guys later.